Okay, we should be ready. 29.2. This is the 29th video, or 29th day, second video. Class vocabulary, or imagine, here I am in front of a class, a live audience class, and I would say, we'll begin here with class vocabulary, who's got a word to offer the class? Well, ideally, every hand would go up. They all should have words, ideally. But anyway, eventually I would maybe get a word, and Cortland over there, he's got a word. As a matter of fact, it is from Cortland's notes. He left them behind. And I would say to Cortland, okay, what's your word? And he'd say, feebly. And I would write it on the board, but I'd say, now the rest of you guys, wait, did I spell that right? And Cortland would look and he'd say, yeah, you spelled it right. And I said, well, you're pronouncing it right. And how many syllables are there here? I'd ask the class first. And hopefully they would say 2, and which one is stressed, the first. I want them to hear that. I'll show you later on why I work on that. 2 syllables, the first one stressed, feebly. All right, what's your context, Cortland? Resisted feebly the truth, and he might have gone on. That's enough. There's enough there that we can at least figure out the part of speech. If he did really good work, there's a second ellipsis right there, meaning that he left some other words out. Maybe I left them out because his context was too big. All right, I'd say, all right, class, what part of speech do you think this is? And a lot of times they wouldn't get this right. But I tell them you should. You should always know the part of speech, even if you have no idea what the word means. I'll tell you if you shouldn't know the part of speech. And eventually I would figure out, they might come up with adverb. If not, I'd go back to Cortland and I'd say, well, all right, Cortland, what part of speech is it? And if he's done good work, he's going to say adverb. Answers the question, how? Does anybody know what this word means? Well, in the class there's usually some kid that might have, some kid whose vocabulary is more advanced, and some kid might know, or they might wildly guess. I say, look at the context. What might it mean? And I'll get a bunch of guesses, and I won't say what's right. I'll eventually go back to Cortland and I'll say, were any of them right? And he'd say, well, yeah, so-and-so, Susie, she was right. Weakly, lacking strength. I would adjust it a little bit, and I say, okay, and where did it come from? I'll let kids guess. Where do you suppose this word came from? Let them guess all over the place. And Cortland, where did it come from? If he's done good work, he would say, well, it came into English out of Old French. It got into Old French out of Latin. And I usually don't make them tell me what it meant in the original language. And I might say to Cortland, well, where did you get that word? Where did you come across it? And he would say, Les Miserables. Well, he wouldn't pronounce it right. He'd probably say Les Miserables. Victor Hugo, page 660. Probably he just took a book that I handed him off the shelf and got it. So, all right, good. Thank you, Cortland. Always thank you. Who else got a word? All right, let's see. Kenneth comes up. Kenneth raises his hand, and it really was Kenneth. Javelin. Okay, there it is, and I'll write it. Did I have it spelled right? Yep. So then I would underline it, and all the kids would be writing this into their own page on the page that says the class's vocabulary. Javelin, how many syllables? 3. Which one's stressed? The first one, javelin. Otherwise it would be javelin or javelin. It's javelin. I want the kids hearing that. What's the context? His remaining javelin, which taking better. Good, you got enough. And from that context, can you figure out, whether you know what it means or not, can you figure out what part of speech it is? Well, it's a noun. I'll have the kids guess. Go back to Kenneth, and he'll say it's a noun. Okay, yep, it's a noun. Anyone know what it means? Or at this point, I might say to them, well, where did you get the word? I don't make the kids write it down in the classes list. Where did you get the word? He got it from Ivanhoe by Sir Walter Scott, page 151. Good. Once again, I suspect it was a book I just handed him, but he found it. Anyone know what it means? Have a bunch of guesses. Eventually somebody might guess right. And I'll go back to Kenneth, say any of them right. So-and-so was right, or no, they didn't know. It's a light throwing spear. And I'll let the kids guess, what language do you suppose this came out of? And they'll guess all over the place. Sometimes kids guess really stupid guesses, which they don't even, at first they don't even know they're stupid, but Chinese, you know. Middle French. Eventually I'll get kids that get pretty good at guessing, which is one of my goals with this. we've got that. I would thank Kenneth. Thank you. We've got 2 words now. Anyone else have a 3rd word for today? Somebody raise their hand. Actually, in this case, I'm going back to Cortland. Cortland had the word scarcely. How many, I'll write it down. Do I have it spelled right, Cortland? Yeah, you got it right. How many syllables, which one's stressed? I'll ask the class. 2, the first one stressed, scarcely. But I'll go back and I'll check with the sponsor of the word, in this case, Cortland again. What's the context? Scarcely getting any. Okay, that's enough. What part of speech is it? Well, with the ly on the end, I think they might be able to guess correctly. Ultimately, they should be able to get that right. It's an adverb. It's another adverb. Is anybody out there, or I might say to him, so where did you get the word? He got this word probably from his own book, The Bad Beginning. Lemony Snicket or something like that is the author. It was on page 17. Good work for him. Anyone know what that means, scarcely? Well, some kids probably would. That's not that rare a word, but that's fine. As long as Cortland wasn't sure when he ran into the word, that's all it takes. Even if he thinks he knows but not sure, that's okay. And there'd be some guesses, and finally I'd get, okay, hardly, very probably not, barely. That works. All right, we got 3 words, but the etymology. So where did it come from? Anyone want to take a guess? My guess, and I'll guess too, I would guess Latin, I suppose, in this case. I might have guessed that one wrong. I might have got both of these wrong. I might have guessed Old English for that. I might have guessed Greek for this. As a matter of fact, I wonder a little bit if this didn't get into Middle French from Greek, if I would go check it. I don't know. Maybe I'll check before tomorrow. All right, we got 3 words. Now, I'll have the kids say, can one of you take the first one and put it in a sentence of your own making? And eventually some kid will say, he walked feebly. Yeah, good, I'd call that right Friday. Some other kid would say, he picked it up feebly because he wasn't strong. Good. And I say, I don't want any definition. I want you to tell me show me in your sentence that you know what it means. How about javelin? Can anyone put javelin in a sentence? He threw the javelin. Good. I'd call that right. It's short. Anybody else? The javelin hit me in the heart. Good. Then I say, how about scarcely? Can anyone put that one in a sentence? And some kid would say, well, he scarcely could breathe. Good, that works. He had scarcely any food. Good, that works too. Then I'll say, all right, can anybody take 2 of those and put them in one sentence? And now the kids begin to get more excited usually. He threw the javelin feebly. Good, that works, yeah. Can anybody take 2 other ones? Well, he scarcely could throw the javelin. Good, that works. And I will take a bunch of tries. Then I'll say, can anybody put all 3 in one sentence and still have it make sense and still have enough there that I believe what you know that you know what these words mean, all 3 of them. So the kids will think, and usually kids will want to do it. And some kid might come up with something like, he threw the javelin feebly because he scarcely had any strength. And I say, whoa. Yeah, that's really good. And the kids will even be surprised themselves that they came up with that. Because this process ends up boosting their vocabulary and their writing ability so that they're writing on a different level, at least composing sentences on a different level from what they've done before. And I'll have a bunch more guesses like that. And I'll say, all right, now on Friday, these 3 words and 9 others, you're going to have to know how to spell them correctly, and you're going to have to be able to put them in sentences that prove to me that you know what they mean. We'll practice some more as the week goes on. So anyway, there's the first day of class vocabulary, and then I would turn to something else. I'm really sorry to be going so fast, but I really try to make these videos fit within 10 minutes, and I think I've done this. If you haven't caught on yet, tomorrow we'll begin with class vocabulary, and then I'll go on to something else. Feel free to send me a comment. I'd love to get a word live. That would be so cool. Again, I'm hoping before the week's over that will happen. All right, see you tomorrow.